Welcome into the Verizon pregame show here on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel. Mark Farzetta, Seth Joyner, Derek Gunn with you. We hope that you guys had a very happy holiday and now getting ready to settle back in for your Philadelphia Eagles and what will be their most significant last test of the regular season. After rolling through the Raiders and beating up on the Commanders, the Philadelphia Eagles now take on, in Buffalo, the Bills, once again for that last big test. The reigning NFL MVP, Josh Allen, of course, set to take on Jalen Hurts, the reigning Super Bowl MVP. Seth, when you look at this matchup, you're looking at two playoff-bound teams, and something I didn't expect to ask a couple of weeks ago, but I can ask now, a potential Super Bowl preview. What do you make of this matchup between the Birds and Bills?
Well, you know, the Bills got a lot of players on the shelf today. Man, doesn't it seem like it's been like 2 weeks since we done the show
Yes.
and there's been a game?
Weird, I don't even know what day it is, actually. I think it's Sunday.
But anyway, this, for the Eagles, in my opinion, is going to be their sternest test that they've had in a while. You know, even though they've got some players out, the focal point, in my opinion, will be James Cook. If the Eagles can get him under control and then keep Josh from just running all over the place, they got a very good chance of winning this football game. I think from a barometer standpoint, this is a very impactful game for the Eagles because it's a confidence builder. One of the top teams, not only in the AFC but in the National Football League. If they can come out and show well against this team, then it does a lot for their confidence moving forward. They've been building the last 3 or 4 weeks, both offensively and defensively. So much they've been stellar on the defensive side of the ball, but there have been improvements on the offensive side of the ball against two lesser teams in the Raiders and the Commanders. Now you're playing against, you know, the reigning MVP of the National Football League, the Russian leader in the National Football League this year thus far, and you know, this is a test. It's a stern test for them, D-Gun, to find out where they are and see how they match up against one of the better teams.
You know, if you go back over the highs and lows of this Eagles team over the past several weeks, when they hit that 3-game losing streak, they lost to 3 starting quarterbacks. When they won the next 2, they beat 2 backup quarterbacks. You know, you can't predict who you're going to play, or you play who's in front of you. Plain and simple. The one thing I hope that doesn't happen in this day and in this game today, and as weird as it sounds, I hope they don't sack Josh Allen. Because we have been screaming all season long about the DNs over pursuing. And as we know, Josh Allen is 6'6" and 230 plus pounds. When he runs, he's looking to gain yards and he's looking to hurt people. And Josh Allen is a very good scrambler. I don't want to see gaping holes in this Eagles defense and allow him to step up and take off, because he's a bigger version of Jalen Hurts in the sense that he's looking to score. When he takes off the run, he's looking to score. Mm-hmm. So I want to see them contain him in the pocket. The Buffalo Bills don't have a great arsenal of pass catchers on this team. And their defense, as Seth just alluded to a moment ago, is decimated by injuries. They're giving up almost 145 yards a game in rushing. And we've seen the Eagles get their running game together over the past couple of weeks. I want to see them pound Buffalo into submission with the running game. Obviously, you don't know how the game's going to play itself out. But Buffalo, like the Eagles, somehow find ways to win games all season long. And it starts with that man, Josh Allen. And I think, and we've said this a couple of weeks, and I've said it all last week, I do think potentially this is a playoff preview type game, a possible Super Bowl preview type game. And this is huge for Sean McDermott, who I've known for a long time. Because now there is no Patrick Mahomes. There is no Joe Burrow standing in his way. This is a year that Buffalo should and could be able to get to a Super Bowl. So both teams have a lot at stake on the line in this game today, and I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup because it's going to be a colossal battle.
Well, wait a minute. I'm trying to understand. You don't want to see them sack Josh?
No, I want to see him keep him in the pocket. I don't want to see him step up and run.
No, I want to see them put him down today.
To me, Seth, because of the way, especially you've been harping at the bad angles they take to the quarterback and stuff, Josh Allen is a master of peripheral vision and seeing that and stepping up. I don't want to see Josh Allen find a hole in the middle of that defensive line and start running up and down the field.
Well, I know we probably should add a keys to the game segment to the show.
Okay.
But I'm just going to go ahead and give you mine right now.
Throw it out there.
I think that, you know, the number one situation that the Eagles have got to get under control is James Cook running the ball.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
Okay? Because if you do that, then as crazy as it sounds, you put Josh Allen in a situation where he's got to throw the ball. Okay? The Buffalo Bills lost 4 games this year. That's it. They're 11-4 against the Patriots, the Pats. Cook had 15 carries for 49 yards, no touchdown, 3.3 yards a carry. Atlanta, 17 carries, 87 yards, 5.1 yards per carry. Miami, 13 carries, 53 yards, 4.1 yards, no touchdowns. Okay. And then against Houston, he had 17 carries for 116 yards, 6.8 yards per carry, and 1 touchdown. So over the 4 losses that that the Buffalo Bills had, Cook averaged 15 carries a game, 76 yards, 4.8 yards a carry, and average, 0.25 touchdowns. So that's 1 touchdown in 4 games. Okay. So he is the focal point of this game today. They got to get him under control. Then the pass rush is going to have to look like it looked against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The defensive ends have to go through the tackles. Okay, you can't get up above them, and then the defensive tackles, the defensive ends, I should say, have to go through the tackles. The 2 tackles have to power rush and push the pocket and kind of create this U where you keep Josh Allen in the pocket. He gets out when they make mistakes, okay? That double-team tackle, that one was probably going to be Jalen Carter, who's going to be active today. He's going to get double-teamed. He can't pick a side right. He can't pick a side left. He's just got to push straight up the field, okay? And then the tackle away from him, he's got to rush in a similar manner. He can't get too far right and get outside with the defensive end, and he cannot get pushed over to the double-team side. That's where the hole is. And it's the same thing in the 5-man rush, okay? That nose tackle has to take that center straight back. The two defensive ends, they have to get on the outside shoulder and push without trying to get upfield and trying to get around him. And then the guys on the outside, they got to get up the field to the level of the quarterback and stop, okay? Because you're not going to run the loop and get behind Josh Allen. It's just not going to happen. You get up, then you retrace your steps and fall back in. If they can do that, I don't mind them getting, sacking Josh Allen. The other thing is we're not worried about this wide receiver core.
Nope.
Because I think that Cooper DeJean, congrats on the Pro Bowl, can handle Shakur all day long in man-to-man situations. Okay, there's nobody else that we're worried about on the outside beating us deep. I expect for Adoree Jackson to play aggressive today. Quinyon Mitchell, congratulations on his Pro Bowl. It'll be the same situation, okay? And then you're not worrying about tight ends. Their 2 best pass-catching tight ends are inactive today. So everything sets up for the Eagles to win this game if they do things the right way, If you give Josh Allen opportunities to beat you, he will beat you, not only with his arms, but he will beat you running the ball. And they've got to keep him in the pocket because the majority of his big plays that he makes down the field is when he's on the move. Guys are adjusting their routes. The short routes are going deep. The deep routes are coming back. They've got to make sure that they make him operate from the pocket when he does choose to throw the football.
What you say sounds great in theory, but we have been screaming and beating the table all season long about the undisciplined nature of the Eagles pass rushers when it comes to containing quarterbacks. And if they do what you say, I agree with you 100%, but until we see the game unfold, because I guarantee you at some point during the game, we're going to be screaming about, especially the edge guys taking poor angles to the quarterback or trench guys being out of position. And that happens with every defensive lineman. There's no such thing as the complete perfect game. Everybody makes a mistake. But when you make a mistake against this guy who has 12 rushing touchdowns, you don't want something like that to come back to bite you.
You know what I really like to see, Mark? I really would like to see, and as crazy as this sounds, I would love to see Vic Fangio turn up the heat today. And put Josh Allen in a situation where, okay, you bring one more than he can block. Okay, some zone blitzes that make you think he's coming from one side, but we come from the other side. That free hitter, okay, that forces him to make a quick decision now. because you're not worried about being beat on the outside, okay? You're not worried about necessarily being beat at the tight end position. You know, we have full faith, you know, in Cooper DeJean, but I think that, you know, in passing situations, do not sit back in zone and let him dance around back there and find somewhere to go with the ball. Come with a blitz that gives you a free runner to the quarterback, run some games up front, and make Josh Allen make a quick decision. And he's only going to have one decision before he's on his behind. But if you let him sit back there and he starts to improvise, that's when we begin to see the MVP, Josh Allen, come to the forefront. And if you shut down the run game, then it all relies on him. He's going to have to run the football. On call runs, he's going to have to scramble when it's not there, and he's going to have to make plays with his arms. Force the issue. Do not sit back and let this guy take you apart.
Yeah, put me down as a guy that would love to see Josh Allen sacked many times. Put me down as that vote. As long as you're right, Gunner. I get your point about not letting guys run around. Exactly. Right, I get that. I will say, as far as inactives go, Jordan Poyer for the Buffalo Bills, inactive today. Former Eagle, briefly an Eagle. Also, Jordan Phillips down for the Bills. Also, Dalton Kincaid, one of their tight ends. Their tight end position, a key position for them. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, who is up and running today. Their second leading receiver for Josh Allen right there. So that's a lot of guys that you don't have to be concerned about for the Philadelphia Eagles. Conversely, for the Eagles, Nakobe Dean is down today. Jahad Campbell looks like he's going to go into the position that he was on previous to Dean coming back and being healthy this year. And Jalen Carter, despite the shoulder issues and telling the media he wasn't sure whether or not he would be ready to go come Sunday, is not inactive today. He is active today. So now you have Jalen Carter in the middle of that defensive line again. We'll see how many snaps he's on. And now you have Jahad Campbell back to a bigger role on this defense. How do you think Vic Fangio, I know what you said you want him to do. How do you think Vic Fangio deploys these members of the defense now that they're back?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I don't know whether Jalen Carter will be on some type of pitch count or whether he's full go. The beauty of it all is that, you know, it wasn't a invasive surgery. It was more of, you know, an invasive type thing. So hopefully he's got his strength back in his shoulders and his arms, and he can be the Jalen Carter that we all know him to be. My biggest concern is Jahad Campbell in place for Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean is the green dot. Nakobe Dean is the quarterback of that defense. He's the enforcer in the run game. And, you know, we're asking a will linebacker in Jahad Campbell to play the Mike position. And that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. When you know, the beauty of the Eagles playing on Saturday and then us having, you know, not only the following day Sunday, but this Sunday all day, you know, part of this today's Sunday to watch games. You get to watch teams and watch how other teams play. Like yesterday, watching the Houston Texans and the way that their defense, their linebackers play. Those guys get downhill. When teams are running the ball effectively, they're doubling the tackles and then moving up. They're getting up to the second level. What great linebackers understand is the minute I see that double team, whatever my gap is, I got to get downhill right now and take that guy off of the double team. The more you wait, the more of a problem you're going to have. And I'm not sure, you know, what the Eagles linebackers are reading. They don't play that way. So conversely, they make a lot of tackles 3, 4, 5 yards down the field. You've got to attack the blocking scheme right now, because what that does is that allows the defensive tackle to come off and only have to contend with one guy while staying in his gap. So if everybody's in that gap across the board, you got a better chance of being able to stop the run. But a lot of times our linebackers are standing there trying to figure out whether it's a play side or whether the guy's cutting back. You can't play that way. Everybody's got to get their gap, and you got to get your gap right now. The run defense is predicated on you attacking the blocking scheme, destroying the blocking scheme right now. You cannot allow 600 pounds to push 300 pounds 3-4 yards off the ball. Now you're trying to fight an offensive guard or offensive center, you know, or offensive tackle in a situation where you're giving up 100 pounds. That's a no-win circumstance. Get downhill now. Get the arm free to supposed to be free, maintain your gap, and just do your job. You can't do anything but your job. So if everybody does their job across the board and maintains their gap across the board, the Eagles got a really good chance of getting things done. But like D. Gunn said, that remains to be seen, because the Eagles defense right now is still giving up 123 yards a game. They're ranked 21st in the National Football League. They've played well against the run the last 3 weeks. Okay, but this is a different animal. This is a different test. James Cook, you cannot have him running through your defense. And if he gets to the second level in a foot race with Reed Blankenship, baby, it's over. I mean, over.
Well, let me ask this question. Jalen Carter, would you have played him today? Because there was talk about potentially just holding him out for the last 2 games of the season. Maybe you give him a couple reps there against the Commanders, try to get him back into game shape, whatever it might be. Are the Eagles doing the right thing and having him play today against the Bills?
Players want to play, and he said in the week leading up to this game that he said, now I can extend my arms and push, which he couldn't do since he had these this issues cleaned up in his shoulders. Yes, I think you have to play him. Lane Johnson is a little bit different because it's a foot, and this is leverage. When you talk about an offensive lineman getting the leverage with their feet, and with Lane Johnson's situation, he steps the wrong way, steps on somebody's foot, somebody steps on his foot, and all of a sudden you've lost him for the playoffs. So you have to protect him a little bit more. I would put Jalen on a pitch count, to be honest with you, And as the game progresses, I'm having a conversation on the sideline with him. How do you feel at this point? How do you feel at this point? You only played 18 snaps the first half. Can you ramp it up a little bit more, especially if Buffalo gets that running game going? Can we count on you a little bit more? I would gradually integrate him into the game plan. And then from there, as this game unfolds, have various conversations with him in terms of how much can you give us over the last 30 minutes.
I think you're going to see a lot of 5-man front today.
Yeah.
Which allows them then to have to single block him. Him having to fight, and he's such a violent player with his hands. You can understand why his shoulders are having the problem that it's having. But if they can figure out a way to get him single block one-on-one against the center all day, instead of him having to fight those double teams with the guard coming down on him or a tackle coming down on him, the more they can get him singled up, I think the better off that they're going to be. So I expect to see quite a bit of, 5-man front and a little more probably man coverage, maybe even some doubling, on Shakur in the slot, to just completely take him away and make the other no-name guys, I don't even know who else is on the roster, wide receiver, make those other guys beat you.
All right, well, this part is something that I find interesting. We've talked a lot about the idea of get-right games, talking about playing a team like the Commanders, a get-right game, talking about playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Is that a get-right game? Well, today, Seth, we're going to find out whether or not the Eagles did get right. As we've said many times already in this opening segment, the final test of the regular season, a big test here at the end of the season. How as a player, how as a team, do you go from playing Kenny Pickett, Marcus Mariota, Josh Johnson, to now the reigning MVP of the National Football League?
Well, listen, if you're technically and fundamentally sound, then you don't worry about who you're playing against. You run your coverages, you run your blitzes, you run whatever it is that you've been running, but you run it with a heightened sense about yourself. They need to start to ramp up their intensity in all phases of the game, particularly on the offensive line. I'm going to be watching today to see if they take their intensity level a step above. But the way that you play against a quarterback like Josh Allen, you be fundamentally sound, aggressive, but smart. Because he's the type of quarterback that when you make, and there are not a whole lot of them, when you make mistakes, he finds it. He'll see it, and he'll take advantage of it. So you got to be aggressive, intense, but fundamentally sound in everything you do. Like, you can't give up the edge. You can't give up, containment. You do little small things like that, that's when he starts to improvise and he's in his bag, and that's when he's at his best, okay? So, yes, he's a great player. There's no doubt about it, okay? But if each guy across the board does his job, if you keep contained here and you keep contained here and you got discipline in your rush lanes here, okay, and the linebackers are getting in the gaps where they're supposed to be in their gaps, then you don't have to worry about it, It's when you try to do somebody else's job and stick your nose somewhere where it doesn't belong, and he sees that you're out of position or that you're doing something other than your job, and he takes advantage of it. That's for anybody. I don't care how good a quarterback is or how good a specific player is. As great of a running back as James Cook is, if the Eagles across the board do their job with high intensity and with intention, I'm not worried about James Cook. But when you start trying to do somebody else's job and stick your nose in a gap where it doesn't belong, or trying to make a play that's not yours to make, that's when defenses, and that's where this defense can get themselves in a lot of trouble.
Derek, on how much has the last 2 weeks helped move the needle for you in terms of the Eagles' chances of winning this game today?
Well, it moved the needle for me in the sense that we saw the running game become more efficient, and that's something we've been waiting for all season long. And I understand it was against the likes of the Raiders and Washington, but you know, it's like those are the games where you work on the little things that had not worked consistently for you for much of the season. Now we're starting to see that consistency. Now we have to see if it carries over against another good team but porous defense when it comes to the run. So I'm feeling confident and I'm feeling good about what I'm watching in this running game. Is it all the way back yet? Don't know. I mean, this will be a good test because I think if they can control the clock with the running game and keep Buffalo's offense off the field, that bodes well for the Eagles' advantage in a very hostile environment.
That you bring a thought to mind because that was my other that was one of my other keys to the game. The Eagles need to keep the possessions in this game have to be 8 possessions per team or less. If they get up to 9-10 possessions in this game, you're giving Josh Allen too many opportunities to come at you and make something big happen. Okay, we don't. Nick Sirianni likes to talk about these long possessions and how hard it is. Well, last week the Eagles converted on third down at an extremely high rate. They converted 10 of 13 third down possessions. Okay, if they can do that today, then that means that they're going to possess the ball. And last week, listen, they had a 7-play, a 12-play, an 11-play, a 17-play, and another 7-play drive that got them to 31 points in that football game. No, I'm thinking about 31 points. I'm thinking about the Raiders game. I can't remember what the score was. It seemed like
31
it was so
nothing.
long. Was it? No, against the Commanders.
Oh,
28-19.
Yeah, 28-29. I think it was 29-19.
29-18.
But my point is that, on average, the Eagles, 10 possessions last week, 10 possessions, 9 possessions against the Raiders. That was a short game. 13 possessions against the Chargers. 10 possessions against the Bears. In order for them to control this game and control time of possession, they're going to need to run the football and they're going to need to control the clock. And they're going to need to control how many possessions there are in this game. And the more that they can do that, the better off they're going to be. Because the more shots you keep giving Josh Allen to get back into the game, to make something special happen, the more of a detriment, in my opinion, it is. So run the ball, run the clock. Let's see another one of these 2.5-hour games.
Oh, my goodness. Ooh, that was sweet.
There you go.
Man.
Right, when we come back, we're going to get into our Say What segment. We still got to go behind enemy lines and our official predictions for the Philadelphia Eagles in Buffalo, taking on the Bills. All that and more when we return on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel, 6abc.com, right here on the Verizon pregame show.
This holiday, Verizon's got the craziest deal ever with iPhone 17, iPad, and Apple Watch. All on them. But no getting it if you're naughty. You just ate. Don't worry. We know what list you're on. I'm always watching. Always watching. Not always. Boundaries.
Get the powerful new iPhone 17, iPad, and Apple Watch all for $0. No trade-in needed on any plan.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There is a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen.
There's a number on the screen. There's a number on the screen.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family-owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come join our team.
White Dog Cafe Haverford is your Sunday football headquarters. Catch the Birds games while enjoying the best wings on the main line. Feeding a crowd? Our to-go catering platters are loaded with our signature wings, perfect for game day. White Dog Cafe Haverford, the main line's game day destination.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Verizon. Welcome back to the Verizon pregame show. Mark Farzetta, Seth Joyner, Derek Gunn with you. Now we're going to get into our Say What segment, and I just got to start off with this. There's a part of this segment I'm not going to like, and none of us are going to like, because we got to say something bad about a Philadelphia Eagle, unfortunately. But the Pro Bowl votes did come in. 5 members of the Philadelphia Eagles make the Pro Bowl.
Wow.
4 of them from the defensive side of things. Jalen Carter, Quentin Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. How about that? And Zach Bond. Good for you guys. First, say what? Cam Jurgens made the Pro Bowl? Say what? It's a subtle say what. It's a subtle say what. I don't know who would have beat him out. We've watched every snap he's taken this year. We have seen the struggles, unfortunately, for him this year. A little surprised to see Cam Jurgens on that list again.
That's astounding.
A little.
Astounding.
I'm shocked. Were there no other candidates? I'm shocked.
I was trying
to see him on that list.
I went around after nobody jumped to mind. I did some digging. I looked around, national writers, all that stuff. Nobody had another center that got snubbed.
Jeez. Oh my goodness.
So that's one.
Wow.
Shifting to a positive, I guess, and it's really a positive about a negative, and that's somebody that was not named to the Pro Bowl, and that was Jordan Davis. Say what? That is an emphatic say what. How does Jordan Davis not make the Pro Bowl this year, gentlemen?
That's an insult. That's an insult. He has played phenomenal, especially over the last 4 weeks. I think overall this is his best season of his young pro career, to be quite honest with you. The way he's attacking the line of scrimmage, the way he's getting up and down the line laterally as well. And when Jalen Carter's out, he has really ramped up his game to solidify the trench warfare. I'm shocked that he didn't make it this year.
You know, with this Pro Bowl thing, nothing ever shocks me because I've been through it before, where normally you're a year, the first year that you make it, the first year you should make it, you don't, then you got to come back and prove it again the following year. Very rarely do you see it, with a first-round draft pick, because when the first-round draft picks in the National Football League make the Pro Bowl, that's validation, organizationally that you've done something right. And it normally doesn't take a whole lot for a first-rounder to make the Pro Bowl unless there's a lot of other guys that's just, outperforming you. So it doesn't shock me. The other thing is, I believe that there are NFL biases, when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles on many, many different levels. You go back to last year, I think Lane, Cam, and Landon were Pro Bowlers. Jordan Mailata was a second-team Pro Bowler, and Mekhi Becton got no love at all. Now, the NFL is not going to give the entire offensive line, Pro Bowl love. That's just not going to happen. But if there was a player, in my opinion, besides Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson, that deserved to be in the Pro Bowl last year, it was Mekhi Becton. He got no love whatsoever. He was dominant last year. So when you look at this and you say, okay, Jalen Carter, was he truly a Pro Bowler this year? Well, I mean, if you look statistically, there's some things that you probably would say no. But listen, he's one of the most dominant defensive tackles in the league. So even though he missed some games, and that's usually the precursor that gets you to a position where you don't make it, when you miss a bunch of games in a row, all of a sudden, he's in. Well, the league's not going to turn around and give Jordan Davis that love, even though he's deserving, because you've already got one tackle at that position. Very rarely do you see multiple players at a single position get into the Pro Bowl. It very rarely happens. I'm so shocked and surprised to see that we got 2 cornerbacks in the Pro Bowl this year, But that's kind of how that whole thing operates. I'm surprised, I'm shocked that he didn't get some love, maybe even second team, but no love whatsoever. That just blew my mind. And the fact that Cam Jurgens made it, listen, as much as I love the guy and as much as he's battled through his injuries this year, he was just not Pro Bowl worthy, not this season right here.
I think in a lot of cases the Pro Bowl is still too much of a popularity contest. I think the fans have, in a lot of ways, too much input, and that has been discussed across the league by pundits for years. How much input should fans have? Because obviously fans of teams have biased opinions. You know, and I have a friend who works at the NFL Network who travels around to distribute ballots to locker rooms for players to vote. And they said one of the most frustrating things is a lot of players don't vote, you know. So are you getting a true sense of who's being honest in terms of who should win? Because obviously players are going to vote for their own players in a lot of cases. But when you don't have a vast majority vote, like you could have 50 votes from one team and 26 votes from another team, there's a big imbalance there in terms of who should be fairly given accolades of making a Pro Bowl.
Well, you know, during our time, you know, being in the Pro Bowl meant a lot. It meant something contractually, you know, so it was a big deal. So our locker room took it very serious. The issue that I had with it at the time was there were these perennial guys that were in, that got in 3, 4, 5 years in a row. And even though they had a subpar year, they were all, because of reputation, they were voted in. And from my perspective, I think it's a year-to-year deal. You know, if you don't play good one year, you don't deserve to be in. I don't care how many in a row that you've been in. And it almost seems like once you get to like 7 or 8, you're almost a shoo-in. So by the time you're done with your career, you've got like 10 years in a row. I can tell you right now 100% for sure, not every single player plays that damn well 10 years in a row. It's a reputation that you create over a 5, 6, 7 year span that now almost gets you grandfathered in. You know, it's like the conversation with the NBA right now. You know, LeBron James is not deserving to be an all-star this year, but you can almost bet your bottom dollar he's going to get in somehow, some way, just on the thought that this may be his last year of playing. So I don't know. You know, I think the players should take it more seriously. But I think that, you know, there are some other entities that need to chime in on, you know, on the veracity of this to make sure that the guys that deserve to get in, get in. And I don't like, you know, them moving the Pro Bowl a week before and precluding, you know, the Super Bowl teams from being able to participate. Because what does that do? That now all of a sudden the alternate or the second team guy gets moved up. He's not a Pro Bowler. The Pro Bowler's playing in the damn Super Bowl. Okay, so if he's playing in the Super Bowl and y'all ain't gonna do nothing but do flag anyway, move the Pro Bowl back after the Super Bowl the way that it used to be, so that those guys that got voted in as all pros can actually show up and be there at the game and walk around with their cap on and their jersey on and do nothing anyway.
I know we're trying to crack the code here and figure this out. Vic Fangio already did it, gentlemen. I don't know if you guys heard Vic Fangio. This is the way Vic Fangio, here's his say-what on how you fix the Pro Bowl voting.
I think they need to form a committee for the Pro Bowl. Get a couple retired coaches, a couple retired personnel guys, a couple retired players that will take pride in it, and they name it, not all. Everybody and their mother's got a vote.
There you go.
Here. I agree.
What are you guys doing mid-December? You got time to do some Pro Bowl votes?
Sure.
Seth, you available?
I'm always available.
Yeah, I agree with him 100%.
It seems like a more
responsible,
efficient,
fair,
and by the way, the most important thing, accurate way to name the best players in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, let's take Zach Barnes, for instance. Okay. Zach Barnes got 58 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 2 interceptions. Okay. Back in my day, he wouldn't have got a sniff. Now, I think Zach Barnes has played solid for the Eagles. He's not playing at the level that he did last year that got him a first-team All-Pro. That's not hate in any way, shape, fashion, or form. That's just being honest, okay? So I don't know who else is out there, you know, that has the numbers, that's played well enough, you know, that would have superseded him. But it's another one of those things where I say he was first-team All-Pro last year. There's major consideration that's already given to him because he was a first-teamer last year, okay? And sometimes the statistics just don't bear it out. I mean, is that right, 58 combined tackles this year? I mean, that's just not a whole hell of a lot of tackles, you know, when you got guys out there that's got, you know, 100-plus tackles already.
And we've talked several times about, Zach Bond being quiet in games. We didn't even talk about or mention his name on post-game shows. You know, I still think he's one of the best in the business at his position, but you know what? There were highs and lows in his game this year where he didn't really stand out. I mean, he was efficient, did what he needed to do to help the team win, but to get the Pro Bowl nod, no. Seth is right, man. Look how many guys in position, 80 tackles, 90, 100 tackles, they get omitted. You know.
All right, now let's jump over to something else here. I didn't expect to hear this, but I do appreciate Saquon Barkley's brutal honesty as to how he felt about his head coach. This is courtesy of 6ABC's Jason Dumas, as a matter of fact, who caught Saquon Barkley talking about his head coach before Nick Sirianni was his head coach.
I don't know if I said it before. I've said it to him before. I couldn't stand that motherfucker. I could not.
Now, this is actually a compliment for the record.
Yes.
But as we know very well here in Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni's attitude, sideline antics, tunnel antics even, flower power speeches, whatever it might be, his enthusiasm might catch a lot of fans off guard and not really something you want to see from your head coach. I happen to love people that are passionate about what they do, but a lot of people do not. Saquon Barkley was one of those people. Before Nick was his head coach, didn't really care much for the attitude, specifically cited when he would go up the tunnel after the Eagles beat the Giants, or did go up the tunnel after the Eagles beat the Giants in the playoffs. Didn't really like the head coach kind of sticking it to the Giants to the camera as he walked off the field. But now, loves the guy. And yes, Nick Sirianni was asked about Saquon Barkley's response, or how Saquon Barkley felt about him, and he goes, funny, I felt the same way about him when he was with the Giants. Didn't like him either. That's honesty. We always ask for honesty, Seth. That was honesty by Saquon.
That's about as good as it gets, you know. I mean, I love the adjectives, by the way, as well. I think we all feel that way, you know, especially, you know, within the division. There are players, coaches, teams, you know, that you just don't like, you know, and, you know, Nick Sirianni did some things, you know, during that tenure that wasn't likable. You know, the peacocking, the little head nod thing, the head nod meme, you know, chirping at the fans in the stands, all that kind of stuff. That kind of makes, you know, a coach unlikable. But then, you know, why wouldn't he love Nick Sirianni? Nick Sirianni not only brought him over here and took him out of football hell, out of football purgatory, but Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman brought him over here and won him a Super Bowl, put him in a situation, you know, where he became, you know, one of how many 2,000-yard rushers, D-Gun? Is it
9?
9? Yeah. Okay. Then turned around, and I'm sure Nick Sirianni was like, go ahead and pay him. Let's upgrade his contract. Let's give him $20 million a year. Why wouldn't he love Nick Sirianni? Come on, man.
When you're getting the brakes beat off you by the same team year in and year out, and the coach is as animated as Nick Sirianni is, and you play for a coach that's not as animated as a Nick Sirianni, of course, it's like somebody putting salt in an open wound year in and year. But you're right. You know, he went from the dungeon to Camelot, you know, in one season. You know, wasted away in New York, and he was freed here. You know, got him more money after one season. You know, that wasn't going to happen in New York. Got him more exposure nationally because the Eagles were a good team, you know, and more commercial time, more money, more exposure, Super Bowl ring. So why wouldn't you love the guy now that you play for now and the organization? Because the Eagles are consistently considered one of the better organizations in the National Football League that take care of their players. We hear that all the time.
And guess who he is now? He's now Stay Calm Barkley.
Stay calm, yeah. Stay Calm Barkley. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I love that you love that campaign.
I love it.
I absolutely. Now, as far as getting away from relationship and attitude when it comes to the relationship between the two, head coach and player, thing that matters most, production on the field, obviously, and Saquon Barkley in this Eagles run game over the last 2 weeks, gentlemen, granted the opponents the Eagles have had seem to have figured it out. You finally see, yes, Saquon Barkley get 1,000 yards in 16 games, now going into week 17, or excuse me, rather 15 games now going into week 17. But you also see Saquon finally averaging over 4.1 yards per carry now on the season. A lot of that has to do with the success he's had over the last 2 weeks of the regular season, as well as that game against the Chargers where he was also able to break off a big run. Have the Eagles cracked the code, Seth Joyner, on being able to run the football finally?
Well, they're facing another, you know, subpar run defense today. So let's see, how they show up today. and then how that translates into, you know, the playoffs, because that's really where it's going to matter. I think they're doing some different things, you know, blocking scheme-wise. With the trouble that we've had in the middle of our offensive line, I'm still always perplexed when we run those inside zone plays, those inside running plays. You know, Cam Jurgens has been beat up and just, you know, decimated all year. Landon Dickerson, you know, he at times looks like the Tin Man, like he got sat out in the rain and needs a little oil, you know. And then Tyler Steen isn't the most aggressive, you know, guard in comparison to Mekhi Becton. So I would love to see the Eagles get on the edges and get outside, you know, run the ball, guard tackle gap to outside. And then, you know, once you've set that up, then you can come back inside once you get the linebackers flowing and defensive tackles jumping gaps. I would love to see them run some traps, because we've had problems being able to, you know, control guys on the inside jumping gaps. If you want to jump a gap, well, guess what? We're going to trap your ass and just, you know, hit it right up the middle of the field. And now we can get that guard or get that center up on the linebacker right now with that trapper bringing Dallas Goedert, or even, you know, put Sua Opeta, you know, at the wing and let him trap one of those tackles coming inside. You block back, let that guy go, get it to the linebacker, boom, trap him, and then you can run the ball inside. I would love to see some of that stuff deployed to be able to get the inside running game going. But they've really suffered, D-Gun, running the ball in the middle with penetration by those defensive tackles. And especially when teams get in five-man fronts where you got, you know, guys leaning, guys trying to hurry up and get a body on them instead of position them, and those guys giving them a move and getting in the backfield. Well, use that aggression to your advantage, you know, in some ways. Try to figure out a way, you know, to mitigate, you know, some of the losses in the middle of the field by running on the edges. Now you got those guys moving laterally, okay? Once you get them moving laterally, now you can come back inside. Or you got them jumping gaps, keep jumping gaps. Okay, we're gonna dump you on your back, you know, with a nice little trap play. And I've seen the Eagles, they have it in their playbook. I've even seen them run a double trap, a trap on this side and a trap on this side, hand the ball to Saquon out of pistol. He can decide which trap he wants to hit.
I'm tired of seeing Saquon get hit too many times in the backfield as soon as he touches the football. The Eagles, I think their most ineffective running scheme is when they try to run it between the two guards. You know, we've seen how effective Saquon can be running to the outside. You know, a lot of times an outside backer or a safety or cornerback trying to come up can't tackle him one-on-one. Let him do his damage on the outside. Preserve his body. Don't let him get beat up the way he did. You know, a lot of people feel the amount of carries he carried last year, even into the Super Bowl, had an adverse effect of how he started this season in 2025. Let that man work his magic to the outside. Stop letting him get beat up. Every time he touches the ball in between the two guards, he's getting tackled at the line of scrimmage or tackled for a loss. We've seen it too many times this season. If they have solved their problems with the offensive blocking scheme and the trap concepts and the zone blocking and so forth, push them away. Let that man go the other way. Give him a lane to work his magic and do his spins and all that stuff and put people in the dust.
Absolutely.
I'm not one of those people that believe that, you know, he had too many touches last year. I just don't. When I watch him, when he does have room, like he ran angry last week, you know, and I think that he's getting back to that, just being aggressive and hitting the holes, not worrying about the penetration, spinning where he has to, making a move where he has to, but he's running more aggressive. And I think you know, everybody's been calling for it all year, but I think that Tank Bigsby needs to get somewhere around 7 to 10 carries, you know, in this game today to spell him and keep him fresh, because realistically, they don't really want to give him the ball any more than 16 to 18 times. And if you're going to run the ball 40-something times like they've been doing all along, why put him in a situation where he's got to carry the ball, you know, 25, 30 times? You know, just make it part of, you know, your plan to insert Tank, change the pace. Okay, you also using Jalen. Jalen's probably going to get 6 or 7, you know, carries. You know, and there, when you look at those numbers, 18 to Saquon, 10 to Tank, That's 28 right there. Another 7, that's 35, okay? And then you sprinkle in maybe 4 or 5 scrambles by Jalen, and then, you got your numbers. But I think that they need to implement Tank a little bit, use him a little bit more, but also, and maybe you run Tank up the middle where teams aren't jumping so much, where they're expecting Saquon to run up the middle. Maybe those runs go to Tank, okay? And you get on the edges and you get tackle guard gaps, with Saquon.
No, I'd love to see that. And people are, hey, Tank Bigsby he's not Saquon Barkley. Nobody wants him or needs him to be Saquon Barkley. I mean, it'd be nice. I'm not going to argue with it. But you just need him to be Kenny Gainwell, who Kenny Gainwell was for this Eagles team a year ago. We're going to go behind enemy lines coming up in a minute here against the Buffalo Bills. Perfect.
You got
timing.
emotional.
Perfect time. Maybe a little choked up. We're going to go behind enemy lines after this on the Verizon pregame show.
Mid-Penn Bank's Sports and Entertainment Division was created because we understand the unique financial situations of both athletes and entertainers. So whether you're trying to win a Grammy or an MVP, reach out to one of our professionals to help us navigate your financial journey.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges, from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Recovery Unplugged. Welcome back to the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel and the Verizon pregame show. Right now, we're going to go behind enemy lines into Buffalo and tell you who we're looking at the most on the other side of the football. Before we get into it, let me just say you got Keon Coleman out for this game. Matt Prater missing another game there for the Bills. Jordan Poyer out for the Bills. Jordan Phillips out for the Bills. Tylen Grable, Dalton Kincaid out for the Bills. Some big names that have a lot to do with them winning football games.
And I stand corrected. I said both of the tight ends. Knox is up today.
Knox is playing today. Their second leading receiver. I was talking about their tight ends going into today, gentlemen, as being the guys I was going to be keeping an eye on. It's a, no pun intended, big break there for the Eagles that they're not playing, both of them today. But Dalton Kincaid, the one on the shelf, Dalton Knox up and running today for the Bills. But the guy I'm going to be looking at on the other side of the football is Joey Bosa. When we talk about the run game today, we're talking about still one of the best edge rushers, defensive ends in football against the run. He is ranked 7th in the NFL at win rate on the edge against the run. Big thing to look at today, 8 tackles for loss, 5 sacks on the season for Joey Bosa. If you're looking to bounce it outside, as we were talking about in the earlier segment there with Saquon Barkley or even Tank Bigsby, he's one of the guys you have to keep an eye on for that Bills defense. Derek Gunn, who are you looking at?
Oh, I got to look at running back James Cook III. For the 3rd consecutive year, he's got a 1,000-yard season. He's first in the National Football League with 1,532 yards rushing. He's also first. He is the only running back in the NFL averaging over 100 yards per game. He's tied for 5th in touchdown runs with 12 and tied for 4th in runs of over 20 yards or more with 9. The thing that makes him such a pain in the butt is he's a smaller back at 5'10", $190, but he gets in behind those big offensive linemen. And a lot of times when defensive linemen are engaging, you don't see him until he's almost lateral to you, and by that time it's too late. The Eagles have to maintain their gap control and keep this guy in front of them at all times. You know, in August he held out for a while, and then he signed a 4-year, $46 million contract, and he said he credits Saquon Barkley for upping the ante for running backs in terms of getting paid. So he has a lot of admiration for Saquon. But, you know, I always talk about how I just love watching good football players across the league. You root for your team. I love seeing good football players. I love watching this young man run. Hopefully the Eagles control him today and do not let him break one a big time against their defense today.
All right, when you're talking about a team like the Buffalo Bills, you're obviously going to be looking at a guy like Josh Allen, aren't you, Seth?
Yeah, you know what, man? As special as James Cook is, this next guy, Josh Allen, is something else. He just finds a way to get it done. And if by chance we figure out a way to contain James Cook today, then this is going to be, you know, your most dangerous player. Josh Allen, 3,400 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 10 INTs, 105 runs. Good Lord. 105 runs, and some of those, probably 50% of those, D-Gun, are call runs. 552 yards rushing, 5.3 yards per carry with a long of 40 for a touchdown, and 12 rushing touchdowns. That is 37 total touchdowns. That's a lot of touchdowns for one guy in 1 year.
Now, obviously, let's get this out of the way. Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are not going to be on the football field at the same time, all right? But everybody always talks about a great quarterback matchup. You're talking about, again, the reigning Super Bowl MVP going up against the reigning NFL MVP. Do you think that enters into Jalen Hurts' mind at all going into a game like this?
Not one iota. Not one iota, man. It's the furthest thing from his brain. You know, Jalen Hurts seems like the kind of guy to me that just wants to win however he can win. He don't care whether he got 100 yards passing or 300 yards passing or what the circumstances are. He just wants to win. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, that Josh Allen is that guy that's looking at his stats, because obviously, you know, even with those phenomenal numbers that, you know, we just saw, he's having, you know, not that great of a statistical year if you really want to be honest about it, because of the success of James Cook. So he's been willing and he's able, you know, to take a step back and say, if we can win by running the football, then let's do that. Let's do that. I mean, you combine him and James Cook together, they got over 2,000 yards rushing between the two of them, you know. And no matter how much people wanted to keep talking about it's a passing league, it's a passing league, it's a passing league, the more you begin to look at the National Football League today, the more you come to the realization that if you got a good run game and you got a defense that can stop the run and play solid D, you got a very good chance of being where you want to be when the music stops.
When we have our pre-show text chain going on throughout the week and we're talking about our players to bank on, we're talking about behind enemy lines, all that stuff in our predictions. I mean, you think about the names we just mentioned, you think about the tight ends as well for the Bills, only one up again today, and then I think about what I'm concerned about with the Philadelphia Eagles. And one of the names that jumped to the forefront of that is a name that came up a lot throughout this week, and that's Jake Elliott. In just one fell swoop, gentlemen, he went from Jake the Make to Missy Elliott, which I got to say,
that's
great.
cold-blooded.
I mean, tell me that's not funny. That's hilarious.
It is funny.
Did you come up with that?
I did not come up with that. No, I take zero
Jake
credit.
the Make to Missy Elliott.
Missy Elliott.
Wow.
That's messed up.
Yeah, exactly. So, also the last time the Philadelphia Eagles played the Bills, it was in South Philadelphia, and Jake Elliott made a 59-yard field goal in the rain, gentlemen, to force that game to overtime before Jalen Hurts came up with the 12-yard touchdown run into the end zone to seal the deal there. Back to Jake Elliott, though. Are you concerned? I'll go with Jake the Make for now, being more Missy Elliott down the line.
I'll say it like this, and I challenge you two and anybody that's in the chat right now to tell me, when was the last time that Jake Elliott missed a kick that mattered? That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
I still don't want it to come down to a Jake Elliott 50-plus yard field goal. He's 17 of 24, you know, of this season. He's missed 7 in since week 7 plus an extra point. He had problems in 2024. All of a sudden, righted himself in the playoffs. It was clear sailing. But in this particular game, especially in that environment, that Buffalo Stadium is something else, man, in terms of the wind swirling and stuff like that. And it's going to be a cold day, and how he hits the ball, the foot, and things like that. I don't want to come down to a Jake Elliott field goal in this game.
How about Shaky Jake?
Shaky Jake's good.
Shaky Jake.
The suggestions are rolling in now. We do appreciate that.
That's wild.
All right, when we come back, we're going to get into our official predictions for today, as well as our predictions for our Eagle to bank on. All that more when we return on the Verizon pregame show.
At Mid-Penn Bank, we believe in the power of community. We're not just another bank, we're your bank. We're also your neighbor. For over 150 years, we've been helping dreams come true, financing projects that make a difference locally. From small businesses to community centers, we're here to support what matters most to you, donating time and resources to strengthen the Philadelphia region. And when Philly's favorite superstars need a bank they can trust, they turn to Mid-Penn Bank just like you can. Mid-Penn Bank. Stronger communities, stronger futures. Let's build something great together.
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
For an elf, the holidays are stressful, but Verizon's got a bonkers deal on the new Samsung Galaxy S25. Get Gemini, when's our next train coming?
Right now.
Ah, nutcrackers. Gemini, where am I?
You're in a blender.
Okay. Time for elf care. Gemini, find me a massage, please. Oh, that was fast.
Get Samsung Galaxy S25 with Gemini and Watch and Tap, all for $0. No trade-in needed on any plan.
This upcoming segment is brought to you by Weber Display and Packaging. Gentlemen, let's get down to what really matters, and that is our official predictions for Eagles-Bills Week 17. Things falling into place. Still a shot for the Eagles now to get as much as the number 2 seed. If they win today, they basically got to win out. Bears got to lose out. Bears play tonight. Players to bank on. We'll start with that, though. I'll take the first bite with this one. I don't think Jalen Carter's playing today to get into game shape. I think Jalen Carter's playing today to make a difference, especially when you're talking about trying to stop James Cook. My number one guy that I'm looking at today, player to bank on that'll have a huge impact on this game, Jalen Carter. Yes, most likely on some sort of pitch count, but he's certainly, Vic Fangio has done that throughout this year. Nolan Smith's been somebody else that he admitted to having on a pitch count well after the fact. I think Jalen Carter will be on that same today, but those snaps that he does play, quite impactful in stopping the run and also making Josh Allen think about where Jalen Carter will be, whether or not he'll be on that defensive line or in the backfield chasing him down. I'm going to go with Jalen Carter. Derek Gunn, who are you looking at?
I'm going to go with stay calm, Saquon. I think this is an opportunity for him, especially in inclement conditions, to ground and pound that Buffalo defense into submission. We've talked about how we feel the Eagles' ground game has gotten itself righted against the Raiders in Washington. I need to see that carry over into this game today. If they get the ground game going, they control the clock, they beat Buffalo into submission.
I don't think I'm going to go with a particular player today. I'm going to go with the offensive line, because I think that our offensive line, today's the day where they have to start to get back to a dominant mindset. I want to see Jordan Mailata sit down on his blocks instead of getting pushed into Jalen Hurts' lap. I want to see Tyler Steen take some of that aggression that we saw last week in that little fight that he had, and I want him to put some of it on the guy across from him. I just want to see them be more dominant across the board, because as far as this team goes, it's going to go because they can run the ball efficiently. I'm not saying they got to come out every week and rush for 150 yards, but they got to be able to run the ball efficiently enough on first or second down, more first because, the Eagles love to run the ball on first down. It's almost like clockwork. But they've got to be able to run the ball efficiently either on first or second down to keep themselves ahead of the sticks and to cut down on the pre-snap penalties. So they are my focus today. I want to see how they play. I want to see if they can, against a team that's giving up 144 yards per game and ranked 29th in the National Football League, whether they can take advantage of that rather than them come in against a team that ranks so lowly and they not be able to get anything going because they're just jumping gaps and creating havoc. I want to see them dominate. They're pretty good against the pass, D-Gun, but I want to see them dominate against the run. And the more dominant, in my opinion, they are in run blocking, it makes it easier for them in pass blocking.
Now it's time to move on to the final score. I think I know where you're going, Gunner, so I'll go first.
Okay.
I got the Eagles winning this game 27-24. An uncomfortable one, but the one the Eagles win. They win on the road, in sleet, in rain, in Buffalo, and still at least give themselves a shot going into tonight at that number 2 seed. 27-24. Derek Gunn, what say you?
I've picked against the Eagles twice this season. I'm 1-1 in those situations. I emphasize it over and over again. If the Eagles can run the football today effectively, they win the game. But this Buffalo team, this Josh Allen guy, he's finding ways to win games, okay? And they're playing at home. It's their backyard. Buffalo has a lot to play for, just like the Eagles do, still. I hate to say it, but I'm going to pick Buffalo to win this game 23-20 at home. 23-20 at home. I had a conversation with Seth's wife before the game, and she picked Buffalo by a wider margin. I said I was going to steal their score. She said, if you steal my score, I'm going to run out to the set and say, that was my prediction. I'm sorry, Kendra, I didn't give you the opportunity. I'm with you in terms of how I feel about the game. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I'm picking a lower score because of the inclement conditions in Buffalo.
Well, listen, I have a good feeling about this Eagles game. I don't see them dominating in any way, shape, fashion, or form, but I believe in Vic Fangio and his ability with 10 days between games to figure out a remedy, how to get the run game under control, and more importantly, how to get Josh Allen under control to limit his ability to get out of the pocket and make plays. I've only picked against the Eagles once this year. And it's highly likely I won't pick against them, another time the rest of the season. Give me the Birds 24-21 with a Jake Elliott last second.
Oh, no! Look at this guy.
Oh, no, wait. What distance?
Don't matter.
Huh?
Don't matter.
60 yards in
don't
Buffalo?
Matter. It don't matter.
Okay.
When it counts, Jake Elliott always comes through.
Looking ahead, this is an interesting scenario. You mentioned it before. We were talking about it in a commercial break. If Chicago loses in San Francisco tonight, Chicago's final game of the season is against Detroit at home. Detroit's gone. Detroit's dead and buried for the season, but it's a divisional game. They don't like each other. We saw Cleveland upset Pittsburgh today. Now Pittsburgh's going to be forced to play their regular players because they finished the season against Baltimore for that divisional title. There's a possibility the Eagles have a chance of getting that number 2 seed. They may have to play their regulars in that season finale against Washington, and Washington is still seething over the fact that the Eagles went for that 2-point conversion. And what did the head coach say? Hey, we'll see him again in 2 weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see how, if this all plays out, what Nick Sirianni does in terms of will he or won't he play his regulars in that regular season finale.
And listen, if it's for something, then he should play it. That's a big deal moving into that number 2 spot. That's what was at their advantage last year. They move into the 2 spot. Washington goes down and blows the doors off of the Lions in the divisional round, and then the Eagles jump to the number 1 spot, and we got the NFC Championship here. Right. So that's a big deal. So, I'm always in favor of playing your players, especially if you got something to play for, and being able to move from 3 to 2 is a massive deal, Well, either way, we're going to be breaking it down in the Verizon post-game show right here on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel, as well as 6abc.com. For Seth Joyner, Derek Gunn, I'm Mark Farzetta. We'll be back with you guys in post. Go Birds.